Okay, so get ready for this one, because today we're diving into a corner of the internet that's all about asking strangers to roast you.
Yeah. It's a fascinating look at humor.
Yeah.
And maybe even a little bit about, like, our need to connect with others, even if it's through, like, some well-placed jabs.
It's true.
Yeah.
This one really makes you think.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the Reddit community, RoastMe.
Okay.
Now, if you're not familiar with Reddit, it's this massive online platform with communities called subreddits for just about everything you can imagine.
Right.
Like knitting to collecting stamps to, you guessed it, asking people to tell you everything that's wrong with you.
Pretty much anything you could think of.
Yeah, and this particular subreddit,
Yeah.
RoastMe, is dedicated to the art of the roast.
Yeah.
You post a picture of yourself, and other users try to come up with the funniest,
Yeah.
most clever insults.
That's right.
And the subreddit's description really lays it all out there.
Okay.
People submit pictures of themselves holding a sign that literally says, "Roast me."
Wow.
And here's the kicker. It has to be handwritten.
Oh, wow.
No photoshopping allowed.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's, like, really legit?
It's legit.
They want to see the effort.
They want to see the effort.
It's this interesting combination of vulnerability and, I don't know, maybe a little bit of bravado.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of commitment,
Yeah.
this subreddit has been around since 2015
Wow.
and has over 18 million members.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people who are willing to put themselves out there to be roasted.
And that scale is part of what makes this so interesting, right?
Yeah.
What makes so many people want to participate in this kind of exchange.
Right. It's like, come on, internet, give me your best shot.
Yeah.
But before we get too deep into the psychology of it all,
Right.
let's talk about the rules.
Okay.
Because believe it or not, this subreddit takes its roasting etiquette very seriously.
Oh, absolutely. They have rules in place to try and make sure things stay within certain boundaries.
Right.
For example, you have to be 18 or older to participate.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Roasting is definitely a more mature form of humor, and you don't want younger audiences exposed to some of the potentially harsher content.
Exactly. And they also have this rule, and I love this, called the don't be evil rule.
I like that.
It basically boils down to you can be funny, but don't be cruel.
Right. Like you can make fun of someone's questionable fashion choices.
Yeah.
Or that weird thing their hair does in the photo. But personal attacks, hate speech,
Right.
anything that crosses the line into genuine harm is strictly off limits.
It's like they're trying to find that sweet spot between edgy humor and maintaining a safe and, dare I say, respectful environment.
Right.
Even when the whole point is to make fun of each other.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a tough line.
It is a tough line.
Yeah.
It's,
but they're doing it.
Yeah. It's a fascinating tightrope walk.
Yeah.
It is trying to maintain that balance between humor and respect.
Right.
But it really speaks to the complexities of humor itself, right?
Yeah.
What one person finds hilarious,
Totally.
another might find offensive. You know?
It's true humor can be so subjective.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this whole roast me thing even more intriguing.
Right.
Because you have to wonder,
Yeah.
what makes someone want to subject themselves to this in the first place?
Yeah. Like, why would you do that?
What is the psychology behind it?
Right. It's like, please, internet strangers, tell me what's wrong with me.
Yeah.
But make it funny.
Right.
There are definitely a few psychological dynamics at play here.
Okay, so break it down for us.
Okay.
What's going on in the minds of the people who post on Roast Me?
Well, one theory is that it's a form of self-deprecation. It's a way of saying, look, I can laugh at myself.
Right.
I don't take myself too seriously.
Right.
And there's a certain charm to that, a sense of confidence that comes with being able to make fun of yourself.
Okay. That makes sense. It's like owning your flaws before someone else can point them out.
Totally.
But there's a difference between laughing at yourself with friends
Yeah.
and putting yourself out there for millions of strangers to potentially roast.
For sure.
Right.
Absolutely. And that's where the anonymity of the internet comes in.
Okay.
It creates this buffer, this distance that might make it easier to both give and receive roasts.
So you're less inhibited when you're hiding behind a username.
Exactly. You're more likely to say something online that you might not say to someone's face.
Right.
And on the flip side, you might be more willing to hear those things as well if you don't have to see the look on the other person's face.
Right, right.
You know?
Interesting. So anonymity plays a big role.
Yeah.
But what about the roasts themselves? What makes a good roast in this context?
Well, it has to be funny, first and foremost.
Of course.
But there's also this element of cleverness, of wit. A good roast is like a well-crafted joke. It's
Okay.
unexpected, it's insightful, and it often plays on shared experiences or observations.
So it's not just about being mean. It's
Right.
about being clever and insightful.
Exactly. And I think that's part of the appeal for both the roasters and the roasted.
Okay.
It's a chance to show off your wit, to be creative, to connect with others through humor, even if it's a bit unconventional.
It's like a mental sparring match almost.
Exactly. And like any good sparring match, there are rules of engagement.
Right.
Remember the don't be evil rule?
Yeah.
It speaks to the idea that even within this context of playful insults, there are still boundaries that shouldn't be crossed.
Right. You can be edgy, but not cruel.
Yes.
It's a fine line to walk.
It is. And it's a line that's constantly being negotiated both within individual roasts and within the broader culture of the internet.
So we've talked about the psychology of the roasters,
Yes.
the role of anonymity,
Uh-huh.
the rules of engagement.
Okay.
But I'm curious to see this in action.
Okay.
What are some actual examples of roasts from RoastMe? Let's get into it. I want to see what we're working with here.
Okay, yeah, let's pull up the RoastMe feed and just
Yeah.
take a look.
But remember,
Yeah,
anonymity is key here.
right. We're not here to make fun of anybody.
Yeah, no,
Just
exactly.
sort of analyze the humor,
Exactly.
the dynamics at play here.
So no names,
No names.
just a little taste of the roast themselves.
Exactly.
All right, so what kind of poster are we talking about here?
Okay, well, this one made me chuckle. The post title simply says,
What?
19-year-old Brazilian, do your worst, and then the little sneezing emoji.
Oh, the sneezing emoji. Okay.
Yeah.
Straightforward and to the point. I like it.
Yeah, they're inviting the challenge, almost daring the internet to come up with something good.
Yeah, come on, internet. I know you got something for me.
Exactly.
Okay, what else?
Okay, here's one from the gaming world. Give me something I haven't heard playing League or CS.
A gamer. You know, they've heard it all.
Exactly, and that self-awareness
Oh,
is part of what makes it funny.
Totally.
They're acknowledging those stereotypes associated with online gaming, and they're using it to their advantage.
Right. It's true. You got to own it if you're going to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Okay, give me one more.
All right, how about this? 23 male master student in architecture. Sending positive vibes. Hope your day is wonderful with the little sparkly emoji and the angel emoji.
Whoa, that took a turn. Like, it's almost like they're trying to, like, disarm
Yeah.
the roasters with all the positivity.
It's a brilliant strategy.
Yeah.
It creates this like humorous dissonance,
Yeah.
this unexpected contrast between like the request for a roast and then like this overly positive persona
Right.
they're projecting.
Like, they're daring them to be mean.
Yes.
Like, go ahead, try to roast this ray of sunshine.
Exactly. They're playing with expectations, and that unexpectedness
Right.
is like a key element of humor.
Yeah, totally. So interesting.
It is interesting.
This has been so cool. Like, it's amazing how much we can learn about human nature
I know.
just by delving into, like, a subreddit like this.
Just this random corner of the internet.
I know, right? Like, who knew
Who knew?
that asking the internet to make fun of you could be so insightful?
It really highlights the power of humor, even in its more unconventional forms.
For sure.
Yeah. And it makes you think, like, why are we so drawn to this kind of humor?
That's so true.
Yeah.
It is everywhere these days. It's not just Reddit. It's stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
It's those celebrity roast specials on TV.
Totally.
What is it about, like, seeing people get playfully torn apart
I know.
that we find so entertaining?
I think it taps into that human desire for connection, you know, like that shared laughter.
Yeah.
And it allows us to kind of explore these like awkward,
Right.
uncomfortable aspects of like the human experience in a way that feels safe and often like kind of cathartic, you know?
To the pressure valve. Like a way to release some of the tension of everyday life.
Yeah, and the internet provides like this perfect platform for it because it allows for that anonymity, which
Right.
can lead to greater disinhibition.
Right.
And it creates these virtual communities where people can bond over these like shared experiences, even if those experiences involve like being roasted by strangers.
So strange, but also kind of cool when you think about it.
Yeah, it is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like this unexpected pocket of human connection.
Exactly. Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you with this thought. Would you ever post on RoastMe?
That's a good question.
And if so, what do you think you'd get out of it? Something to think about.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.